Welcome to You're Not the Boss of Me. If you are determined to break glass ceilings and build it your way, this show is for you. I'm your host, Beth Graves, and I am obsessed with helping you to not just dream it, but make the plan, connect the dots, and create what you crave. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hey bosses, welcome back to episode number 24. You are in for a treat. In this episode, I have the opportunity to talk one-on-one, and you get to listen in with one of my new friends, Reggie Flowers. He is the co-founder and the mastermind with his partners behind the Top Summit, which was an event that just happened in Naples, Florida. I was able and privileged and blessed to be a speaker on their stage. And I wanted Reggie to come and have a conversation with us about his big takeaways about the event. We also go into some pretty deep stuff about how to build your business, how to create a spiritual connection in building your business. And I just know that you are going to realize that Reggie is truly anointed. And I can't wait for you to hear this interview. So stay with me. But first, I want to share with you one of the most incredible reviews that I've received that says 10 stars, please. So I love to read the reviews as we begin the podcast because this allows us to A, give away some swag, and B, it's like my happy time. So stay with me because this one is super special to me. It's from JRow4981, and she says that she looks forward to Monday's podcast. Actually, can you make it 5 days a week? I have been thinking about an extra episode every week, so I think I'm going to have that start maybe next week. She goes on to say, I absolutely love the inspiration, thoughtfulness, moving, and grooving podcast so much that I dearly miss it Tuesday through Friday. See, I've been going through some hard and troubling times in the last year, and this podcast has gotten me moving again. And not only that, it has helped me with my mindset and your caring, loving, genuine ways, along with great marketing information. I recommend this podcast to all friends that are in direct sales. It's a must listen to weekly, and it starts Mondays off in the right direction. Keep up the amazing job, Beth, and I can't wait until the next podcast, which seems like the weeks fly by, and Monday is here before we know it, and I find myself longing for more. J-Ro, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I truly, truly am blessed to have so many of you taking the time to share a review, share the podcast, and I am truly grateful. So let's get this episode started. Here we go with Reggie Flowers. Well, welcome back, you guys. I'm so excited. Most of you know that I have just returned from the Top Summit, where I was able to talk with Katie Harbison about unicorns, but most importantly, to be a part of what I feel is such a unique situation, event, community that I haven't seen ever before. And today, my guest, who is a huge part in making this happen, is Reggie Flowers. And Reggie, what is your official title with the Top Summit?
I am the co-founder and president.
Co-founder and president. I'm just going to say the cool co-founder and president. How's that sound?
I'll take it. Thank you.
Some people may be listening. We have mostly a network marketing audience, and maybe, I don't know how they wouldn't have known about the Top Summit. We already had Ray and we had Rob on the podcast to talk about it. We were sharing out the live stream, but just in case someone doesn't know about the Top Summit, can you give us a little Cliff Note version of what it's all about and its mission?
Absolutely. And thank you for having me on here, Beth. I definitely don't take this for granted, and you opening it up to your listeners right now and us sharing some thoughts and insights. So for those of you who are learning for the very first time about Top Summit, the journey really began as a passion project with my two partners. These two young ladies actually have done extremely well in the industry and professional network marketing. And they saw a gap. And that gap for them at that time was really like, how do we create an environment, an event that gives the attendees a unique experience, right? So we know there's many different trainings that we can go to get great training from great speakers, great thought leaders. But how do we create an experience that's beyond the experience you have from the information you've received? And so it began there. And so they sought me out through, some of our prior relationships and engagements. So they knew I had a background as a professional network marketer for 11 years. I started when I was 19 years old and stepped away, in my late 20s to begin consulting for network marketing companies, both public and privately network marketing companies. And so when they came to me with the idea, well, actually it wasn't even an idea. They had already hired Rachel Hollis and They had Ray Higdon on board and Jessica Higdon and Rob and Frazier. So I was really blown away with the level of commitments that were part of this, opportunity. And I simply said, I really have just two requests that if you can honor these requests, I think we could work together on this project. And I said, number one, I felt like we all know business is a spiritual game. So it's important that we inject a level of spirituality to teach people how to craft their spiritual tools. And then secondly, what are we going to do for our attendees after the event? Because I feel it's those next 72 hours, upwards of 90 days, where people return to their environment and they begin to allow this feeling and experience to dissipate. So I said, we can keep people connected long enough to the experience and the belief that they can continue to forge ahead in their business, that we can really make a lasting impact. And so with that level of focus and commitment was the rebirth, I guess, if you will, of the Top Summit. And we launched, with our first event, headlining Rachel Hollis. Ms. Hollis was in the building, in August. And then we just had Top Summit 2020. And, the mission is really to provide a marketplace where entrepreneurs can come and get a deep dive, network marketing professionals from experts, where they leave with a customized feeling, a deeper experience on exactly how to enhance their ability to recruit, enhance their ability to promote, to brand themselves on social media strategies from the absolute best, how to run a business like a business, how to be tax efficient. So we wanted to be this marketplace where we keep it very niche, where, at our next event, Beth, we're only going to allow 300 tickets, and then the rest will be online. So the people who are present, they're going to have that deep dive experience where we're going to really love on our attendees, we're going to really support our attendees, and we're going to help them cultivate and take their businesses to the next level.
I love the connection, and that was the piece. Well, first of all, thank you for putting this idea into action. So many people talk and they don't do. And this event, the two locations are both places. I grew up going to Mackinac Island from Michigan, and then I also raised my kids at the Naples Beach Club. None of us really knew each other before the Top Summit, and we sat up and talked with, Natasha Hazlett sat with us. We had Trey from Be Known who talked about marketing. Kimberly Olson was there. Jessica Green came up to talk, and she's a top earner in network marketing. We had Natasha Robertson, who had been on stage, Mom to Millionaire, and then brand new people that were just starting in the industry. And one of my friends, Bridget, was sitting and she looked at me. Oh, Rob came up, Frazier came up, you came up. And she said, this is unbelievable. There is never a time that I ever thought I would have access to build a relationship with this type of level of person in the industry. And so for me, that just felt so different than the events where you're kind of cattle. It's like cattle drive in, a cattle drive out. Oh, Danelle came up, Danelle Delgado. It was just so cool. And everybody just was having conversations, was interested in each other's businesses, in the growth, in families, in all of the pieces, not just like build the business. So whatever you did you choose speakers that said, yes, I'm open to being a part of this entire community? You have no prima donnas. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. We are very centered around trusting our spiritual connection and as well as our intuition on directing our path. And so often there will be just confirmation, like a book you just read or a word you heard on YouTube, just like with Hal Elrod, right? One of our advisors read his book and that book changed her life forever because it changed the way she handled her morning. So she felt like he was highly recommended because he also impacted her organization. And so when we bring on speakers that we've identified who are not just experts, but we feel like are also quality people, because one thing I've learned in my years, which is now 15 years or 16 years as an entrepreneur, is that you can trick people with the conscious mind, but the subconscious is very consistent, right? And so when you begin to listen to people very carefully and see consistencies, you begin to realize that that's the subconscious allowing your character to maintain what you've seen over a certain period of time. And so when we feel like people resonate with those certain qualities, when we get on the phone with them, I often ask, what is the word for you in this particular year or phrase or feeling? Because most of them have obviously mastered at a very deep domain level, a level of not only just capacity, but their skills and ability. And that's great. But sometimes those things become mundane, right? Because you do them over and over, they're mastered. And then there's the things that you have a higher vibration on that are inspiring you for the year, that are encouraging for you for the year, equipping you for the year. So I often try to pull that out of the speakers. And when I have the opportunity for them to have those moments, then they realize that what they should be talking about has nothing to do with their mastery, but what their mastery has allowed them to create. And so we want to make sure that we provide our attendees the highest vibration in the room, because they're going to receive that, right? We're all sensitive people. We're all spiritual people. So we connect to people's energies. We connect to people's spirits. And so when someone is at their highest vibration, we receive it. It deepens, our experience. And therefore, we drive that seed deeper to be able to take root in that person over time. And that's really our objective. So we scrutinize at a level that's not just what's on paper or on the internet, but what's in the spirit of the person, how are they conducting themselves? And that continues to allow us to really protect the environment. And if we ever allow someone in that disrupts that, then they won't be able to return, no matter how great they are.
Well, I love that. I truly believe in that vibration and how you bring that to every single day in your business. Now it makes sense to me because I literally can be in someone's presence, and I'm super sensitive to that, Reggie. I can absorb. I have to really put on a guard. And I felt like many events that I have attended, I walk away and I'm tired and I'm depleted and I feel discouraged, not because the content wasn't good, but because you walk out exhausted. Now I'm understanding what you've created with that level of energy and the vibration, because I left feeling so excited. I was fueled. I am fueled. And also that I sat next to Tim Ferrant, and that was another, talking about working on marriages. And every single person was about connection, not competition. And although this is the big piece, and a lot of people listening who have watched the live stream, and we're going to give you a chance. Is the live stream still available, Reggie, if people want to purchase that? Okay, we'll give you guys a special link for the live stream that's lifetime access. And even though there were some different philosophies about building, everybody was respectful of the idea that there are a lot of different ways to build your network marketing business. But really, when you take it all apart, when you say, what did Cherry Tree talk about? What did Ray talk about? What did Fraser talk about? What did Beth and Katie talk about? Natasha, Danelle. It came down to a desire to want to make an impact, to create change for families, for legacy wealth and generations, to change the story. That is what it came down to. And that's what I walked away with, was this energy about we are here to help shift the families' futures, people's futures. And that was the energy around every single person. So although back in the day when you were doing network marketing, there were no Instagram stories, right?
No Facebook stories, no Instagram stories, none of that.
And we also had, when Chris talked about building community within his team, I want to encourage, as you watch the live stream, and I'm talking as though all of you have watched the live stream, because if you haven't, that's the best training that you could get yourself all year, is to think about what Reggie said about the energy, the vibration, and think, what is my bigger mission? What is it that I'm here to do? And then that doesn't have you questioning the message that you're sending, right, Reggie? It has you knowing that I have an obligation, a responsibility to share what it is that I'm doing to help somebody to create that legacy. And that was the overall, it was if we had to think of a theme of all the speakers, wouldn't you say that's how it kind of rounded out to be?
Absolutely. It's dedicating and crafting a purpose-driven life. I mean, there's no question, from 0 to 10 million a year, network marketing is the best way. And creating a lifestyle, developing not only other people, but yourself in the process, and just really rising up and overcoming and becoming triumphant, both, psychologically, emotionally, financially, spiritually. This is the industry that has garnered so much of even people like myself, that even if we moved into a different direction for a season, it's still the foundation of my purpose. And so I'll always be grateful for what the industry has done for myself, my family, the people it allowed me to impact. And so I think our speakers recognize that it's a purpose-driven life, that the things that they're doing serve a purpose, and there's value being added, to not just the people that are in their immediate circles, but those that are catching them indirectly. And people wear that with a level of responsibility, integrity, ethics, and we're just grateful that we get to be a small piece of the industry helping serve a greater cause.
I want to jump into something, because before people catch the live stream and shift over to you as someone that's right here, most of what I hear back from my podcast listeners is I've walked away with something that I am committed to doing over the next 90 days to build my business that will create that shift and that change that will help me to see that it's more purpose driven. And so if after hearing all the speakers, your experience, all the work that you've done in the network marketing industry, and you've also obviously built some phenomenal businesses. I'm going to use Amanda, for example. Amanda was there and she sat in the front row, and she was there for every single speaker. And we sat and talked in the lobby, and she said, okay, I've got all of my notes, and now it's time to get back to work. It's time to rebuild. So what would you coach if you were coaching Amanda, and I know she's going to be listening, if you were coaching Amanda after she's already built, but went a little bit backwards when some things personally went off track, let's do a little coaching for Amanda after she's heard all the speakers. What would you tell her over the next 90 days to be doing with her business?
That's a great question. And so if Amanda was with us right now and she gathered all her notes and, she's feeling inspired and she's in the moment right now, the first thing I would want her to do is to see if we can produce a result right now. Let's go ahead and make a phone call. Let's set up a meeting. Let's acquire a customer. Let's create a result, because whenever we take knowledge and turn it into action, and then from action to a result, and that result then after we evaluate it is a positive result, then we're beginning to create a behavior and a pattern. And when we're human beings, we are driven based on patterns, and pattern recognition is something that I pay very close attention to. So when I watched those when I was early on in the industry that were six-figure earners, multiple 6, 7, multiple 7, I watched the patterns, behavior. And so I would encourage Amanda for us to produce a result. Then I would say, listen, this is a business. We need to create a plan that's related to the action, the analytics of watching your results, right? And then how we're going to evaluate those results. So we have to remind Amanda that we're still a student. Even though we may be proficient, we've had success, whenever we're going to graduate to a new level of momentum, new level of income, new level of influence of your team, we need to establish a plan so that we can keep ourselves accountable, right? And then create some metrics in that plan. So we would lay out a 90-day plan for Amanda to say, okay, here's where we're at today. Here's where we want to go. And then let's establish some reasons, or as we've always stated, some whys that really anchor you down. And one of the things I think has to happen is sometimes when we're helping someone establish a why, we all have a general why that means something to us, our family, our finances, our community. But sometimes in order for us to get that boost of momentum, we need some immediate whys that are more short-term than long-term. Because sometimes when you're long-term, we're okay with the graduational process to get there. But when you're immediate, then there's a level of focus and a level of energy that follows that focus. So sometimes we just establish, like, what are some short-term goals monetarily? What are some short-term goals, that would be recreational, family-wise, that are immediately right now, so that from following that result, we can now integrate her why and establish her purpose within that moment of creating a result collectively together, right? We're supporting her in that process. We're making sure that she saw what she did correctly and kind of refining what she may have done wrong, but we had a result. And so now with the plan, along with the execution of how we're going to keep her accountable to that plan, then it's a call to create action. And so the immediate thing is, obviously, let's get in front of people. So Amanda, what is your week going to look like this week? We need to take action. We need to be consistent. And if she has the right reasons why that are inspiring her and anchoring her to her plan, then Amanda's going to be on the treadmill of success moving forward into the next 90 days.
I love that. And I also, one of the big things that in listening to Hal Elrod with Miracle Morning is I was challenged to Miracle Morning when I worked with a mentor, 4 years ago. And I haven't missed a morning. I've modified it for me. And it's that habits that are habits over time create the results. So we all set, we have this goal. I'm going to be here, here, and here. But it's like you said, it's the 90-day plan of creating those habits over and over that get the results. But unless you have, for me, my big result is my big why of how I can impact and constantly looking and seeing and being. One of the things that really, really sticks out to me when I have been talking to you about your kingdompreneur, about the work that you do, is you speak about becoming. So if the goal, like this is I love Atomic Habits with James Clear, and he talks about the goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner, to become a leader. So when I talk with you, I think of that as what you embody, because you're all about becoming, not just taking the action and doing social media, but becoming visible, becoming purpose-driven. So can you talk about the shift? Because I hear this so often with people, well, I'm not good at sales. I'm not good at that. And so there's such a difference in the vibration and energy. This is like going a little bit like all over, but I know you're following me, Reggie. The vibration and energy that comes because of how we speak that we don't become. So the big difference I saw in the Natashas on stage and the Danelles and listening to Tim and Becky Farrant is that they have become the leader. They have become purpose-driven. They're not just out doing, like I talk about, a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're becoming. So how does somebody shift from I'm not good at this kind of negative spiral to becoming?
Absolutely. So when you think about becoming, first you have to understand that there is no end. It's ever evolving. It's infinite. It continues to go. So when I'm becoming, whether it's becoming my greatest version of myself, becoming the greatest leader that I can become, the greatest recruiter, the greatest sales, the greatest marketer I can become, that we realize that we're going to take on and learn new traits. And so to become or to becoming, we have to be willing to unleash our mind. There's a saying that I tell people when they're trying to figure me out and they're trying to figure out like what box to put me in terms of personality traits or business model or whatever I'm doing, and just trying to, people are always trying to categorize. And I'll often say that I can be whatever I need to be when I need to be it. And what that means is that I've unleashed my mind at a level where I can become what I need to become when I need to do it. So it started early on as a childhood when I saw gymnastics and I said, I want to do that. So I did that and we did it well. Karate, hockey, football. And so all those things I look at today, and it was the becoming. And so in the industry, when people are working to enter that becoming, what's also important is the unbecoming. That's what people miss. Like, what do I need to unpack? What do I need to release in my limiting belief system, my limiting philosophies about myself, so that I can reframe it and replace it with new philosophies, which is what we know, how we know it, and how we've obtained that information. And then when we apply it, those are the actions. And then how we feel about it is our attitude. So when you're becoming, you first have to start with the unbecoming. You have to embrace and accept what it is that you've eliminated yourself. So just like when somebody says, I'm not good, like that communication in itself is a limiting communication. I am not good versus how do I get better? That is the becoming. How do I become better at sales? How do I get better at marketing? How do I get better at recruiting, promoting events, right? How do I get better at three-way calls or Zoom calls? So when we're becoming, we step into a student-like attitude and we begin to reframe our communication. We begin to reframe, the way we see ourselves while we're on this journey of becoming our best version. So the becoming for any individual and shifting, making that shift is first starting with a decision. So often we enter in everything with a preference, meaning I'll try it, I'll consider it, I'll give it a test. And I would always tell my leaders sometimes, I'm like, do you try to put on your pants in the morning or do you just do it, right? Do you try to, drive your car or do you do it? Like, why would we have certainty in some areas of our life and not certainty in others? Is because there's a level of competency and confidence, even if it's on autopilot. So the becoming means that I'm going to make the conscious effort to make a decision to equip myself with new inputs, which means changing my environment. And what does that really mean? Well, look, I'm not telling you to pick up, and leave your home and your community. What I am telling you is that maybe you reduce from 5 TVs down to 1. And you go from less entertainment to more education. And that education can stem from the internet, from audiobooks, books, where you're now going to focus on the area and here becoming a professional network marketer is where you want to energize yourself. What should I be becoming? A better leader, right? A better influencer, sales, understanding how to create distribution, right? That's the becoming. In order to become, I have to make a decision to align myself with the information. And then I create an environment in my home where when I look around my house or my apartment or my RV, whatever you're living in, it does not matter. But when you look around it, you see where you're going. You see a beautiful home that you're going to own one day. You see a vacation that you're going to take your family on. You see an organization that you've always wanted to support because you have these things printed and they're all around your house. And you're subconsciously training your mind that this is who I am and this is who I am becoming because I'm putting in the work to do it. But it has to start with a decision. And the decision is going to be driven on your desire. If your desire is not great enough, then you're not going to do what's necessary to become. And then the becoming never becomes. It just becomes something that you thought about. So you unbecome, then you become. And last but surely not least, you really have to make the decision to increase your needs, which is directly related to your standards. So if you elevate your standards, what you expect of yourself, what you expect of your life, what you expect of others, what you expect of relationships, the love that you have for yourself, if you elevate your standards, then you directly have to elevate your needs to support your new standards. And that is what I believe is part of the process of becoming.
I love it. And so one of the main things that I hear in all of this is we have to, like that decision that Reggie talks about so many times, like when I started teaching way back, I didn't try. I didn't say, well, maybe I'll see if this works out this year. I became a teacher. I started to create the environment for the students to have success. And so many network marketers are just kind of dabbling. They haven't made that decision. And the difference, and now that like all of this is coming together, because one of the things that I'll tell you, Danelle Delgado did a great post about how to be at an event, show up early, stay late, ask questions, talk not about yourself, but ask so many questions, is I would walk around and say to somebody, what is the biggest shift that you felt when you said, this is my industry. This is how I will change my family's legacy. This is how I will impact thousands. And that decision, I talked to Jamie Pekka. This was such a cool conversation. And Jamie was a multiple 7-figure earner who was there attending. And somebody said, how did you hit the top rank of your company in 42 days? And she said, it just wasn't an option not to do it. We made a decision. And I knew that I had 42 days and I was getting myself in front of as many people as possible via Zoom because she's in Canada. She said that she got all of her family on board for those 42 days and she broke records in the industry because of a decision that she made to be all in. So I want to encourage, let's do this. We're going to give you guys some homework and then I'm going to let Reggie add to it. I had to unbecome a lot of things when I started my run in network marketing. I had to unbecome a nighttime TV watcher. I had to let go of circles of friends that talked about gossip, people that didn't support me, people that weren't spiritually aligned with me. And I had to become this new version, this new vision of myself. But in order to do that, I had to know what that looked like. So I wanted to encourage you to take out a piece of paper and describe what you want to be, who do you want to become? The leader that you see yourself to be. Because so many times we just kind of sit around and go through the motions. So how do you want to serve? Who do you want to impact? What kind of conversations do you want to have? Clean up your office space, for goodness sakes. You've got to declutter. You've got to be efficient. Have a beautiful space where you work and start to decide that this business is about creating and becoming and impacting. So what would you say to someone? I know that, Reggie, you are, with your spiritual gift, a lot of that is self-reflection and journaling and praying and your devotions and the time that you spend. If you were to give a journaling assignment in terms of becoming and making a decision to make this happen, Amanda left that top summit. She heard all these incredible speakers. She's inspired. She's motivated. What is your journal assignment for her?
My journal assignment for Amanda would be, you have to take inventory with your associations currently. I so often feel that when people leave this type of environment and return to we'll use subpar as a lack of a better term, but re-enter in, the associations or relationships, because you got to remember, words have power. And so if we are around people that are speaking over us, that are not encouraging, that are not uplifting, that are not elevating us, then those words are actually taking root in some shape and form or fashion in our life. So I would say, Amanda, we need to take inventory to figure out who needs to be in what I call the SOS, the season of separation, where I need to separate for a season. And we don't know how long that season may be, so don't put a time frame on it. And if they're truly your friends, if they truly love you, they will be there for you when you return. But I remember the moment that I began to separate just because of where my focus was, my attention, my intent, right? And it caused a natural separation. But so often people want to satisfy both the people that are anchoring them down in the wrong direction and the people that are helping them have a common future. So the people you have a common past with, you have to be okay with that season of separation. You have to be okay with being selfish for a season. There is a difference between being self-centered versus selfish. A self-centered person means that their thoughts and actions and behaviors are all centered around self. A selfish person says that I have to take care of myself in this moment, but that doesn't mean that all my thoughts are centered around me. And so therefore I had to be selfish enough, love myself enough to serve my family, my community, my team, the company that I'm building, the legacy that I'm building. You have to be selfish enough until you break through the wall and you exponentially grow. Then you have the right to begin to consider other options. But the person you became in the process is now strong enough to endure any unnecessary words. And what will happen is that when you're spiritually led, you'll not even want to be around those words anymore, or people will feel your presence in a way where they become conscious of how they communicate to you because you leveled up. You've ascended right before their very eyes, and now you become the miraculous right before them. And some of those people will follow and others you will repel them, but you have to live your purpose. And that's why if you're not clear on your vision, then you will have uncertainty. And when you have uncertainty, then you will allow these people who add no value to your life to sit around your life and weigh you down, because confused people do what? Nothing.
Awesome. We are going to wrap this up right now. And we talked about Top Summit. We kind of switched over to clearing out the mental clutter, making a 90-day plan with Reggie. So much good stuff. I know that you all would probably like to know how you can get more of Reggie, hear more of his leadership. So Reggie, where do people find you in the social media world?
So that's a great question. Right now, where you could go is to my public page, which is Reggie Flowers on Facebook, or at ourflowers23. And there you'll notice that there's a group tied to that page. Click on that and ask to be added, because they'll have access to what's going to be my latest creation, which I'm really excited about, which is the Self-Mastery and Business Accelerator course that I'm launching shortly. And they'll be able to get on the waiting list for that, where we're going to take people through the 5 laws of transformation, success, and fulfillment. and really take people through not only just my journey, but their journey to get to that place of fulfillment. Because, Beth, I truly believe that we get in this industry to make money. And then once we get through the growth and the understanding to a place where we actually can create it and do it on demand, where there's an actual strategy and skill sets have been established. But we all have learned that the money won't sustain our fulfillment. And so the significance in our lives comes from our ability to elevate others. And so I want to continue to help people get to that place where they're now in a position to sow into others and elevate others. And there, now money is just a consequence. And you'll never be limited with it at all. So head over to Facebook, Reggie Flowers, or at ourflowers23. Connect there, message me, and then we'll make sure we point you in the right direction.
I love it. I love it. And that just gave me chills when you said, that we start for money. And then the money does not sustain that mission. You are so right. And it has to be about something so much more. And I love that you're going to be teaching that with the 5 laws of transformation. I can't wait to hear more about that. And in terms of Top Summit, do you have dates for next year?
Yes. So we are going to be March, and please don't hold me to this because I don't have it in front of me, but March 2020, the 27th, I believe, to the 31st are our dates. And so we'll make sure that when you send us out to your subscriber list that date is correct. But March 27th to the 31st is what I believe I heard last. We bounced between 2 dates and we were just locking it in later on today. So yes, but March, You can know that we're going to be back in Naples, Florida at the Naples Hotel and Golf Resort, Naples Beach Hotel and Golf Resort. We will be back here next year.
I love it. And they have the best mango fish tacos right by the pool. Did you have those?
I did not.
Oh my gosh. Next year, we're having lunch together. I think we should plan a lunch for the people that are listening to the podcast with Reggie and Beth. What do you think?
I would absolutely love it.
I love it. All right, Reggie, thanks for being on. You guys, we're going to give you below all of the details. We'll give you the links so that you can purchase the live stream. I purchased it myself, even though I was at the event and speaking at the event, because I want to go over and over and over what the speakers said and be able to just really put that into my daily method of operation, into my spiritual growth. So much good stuff. So Reggie, thanks for being on. And I know, will you promise to come back as a guest and talk about the 5 laws of transformation with me?
I would be honored to be on, Beth. You have been so incredible. I'm so glad that we finally have met in person. I know we've talked several times via Zoom, and just your energy. And you all, I want you all to know, make sure you really support her podcast, because this is truly not only an exceptional entrepreneur, but this is truly sincerely a woman of real faith. And I'm going to let you in on just a little story real quick before we go. But the moment that Beth and Katie were getting ready to go on stage, she walks up to the steps and immediately pivots and turns around and says, "Will you pray for us?" And for her to have that level of comfort and that spiritual intuition tell her that this is a praying man, this is someone that I can count on to immediately do that, that is something that has been honed, conditioned, and then exercised. So this is who you are listening to. And there's someone that's been very near and dear to my heart, and she will always say, you want to be under the spout where the blessings are coming out. And so if you're listening to her voice, you are under a spout that has been blessed, and those blessings are now shielding over you. So listen, tune in, because she's only going to be led to bring on people that are going to pour into you appropriately.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Reggie, for that. That was just beautiful. And honestly, at that moment, I turned and said, I looked at Katie, the energy around us was, let's just stop and be grateful and take this moment and ask for the perfect words as we go up on that stage, because I know that my only mission was that one person could be impacted by what we said, that one person's life could completely change and shift because of hearing Katie's story or hearing my story or hearing what we had to say. We had a lot of humor in it. I'm going to actually have Katie on next week, and we're going to do a podcast version of The Unicorn. But thank you, Reggie. That was really kind. And I truly believe when I started this podcast that I was called to speak about this journey and to do it in a different way, to do it in a way that isn't all about hustle and grind, but it's all about how can you live a life that makes an impact? How can you have time for your family and not drop all of the glass balls while building, and to have the right purpose-driven mission? Because so many people are out there saying, hustle, grind, go, 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 go. And at the end of the day, I love what you said, and we'll end with this, that money will not sustain you. It will not fulfill you. It is about so much more. So my goal is to help someone save their marriage. My goal is to help someone be a better parent. My goal is to help someone to pay off their debt so they're not tossing and turning at night. And bringing people like you, Reggie, the time, the expertise, like people pay you thousands and thousands of dollars for one-on-one coaching for a 45-minute session with you. And we just got it for free, y'all. So thanks for tuning in today. Last words, Reggie. I know I'm going to catch you totally off guard. Share a quote that drives you every single day. It can be a verse, a quote. What is it that gets you up in the morning?
It's actually a prayer that I say every day, and it's been an intentional prayer for business. And I say it very simply in this. I ask that favor goes before me every day and prospers my way, that people go out of their way to bless me and they don't even know why. Those of you who are listening, you want that favor. You want people to bend to their ear to you, that they go out of their way to bless you. They go out of their way to support you. You will become that person through that prayer and through that process where people just align themselves with you, and it just feels so unfair, but you realize it's not you. It's because you're aligned spiritually and that God is overlooking you and helping you and serving you because of the work that you're doing here in his kingdom.
Oh my gosh. I love that. We will also put Reggie's words, that prayer, in the show notes so that you can grab that. And you've got to ask, you guys, I want you to wake up tomorrow morning and ask for favor, ask for a blessing in your business, because it just isn't going to find its way to you. You've got to open that up, ask, and you will receive. So we will catch you guys all next week. This is going to be one of the best, most downloaded episodes, I just know, because of the power behind Reggie's words. So I'll catch you guys all next week when we have Katie Harbison, and we will be talking about how to recruit the perfect unicorn. And that's a wrap with Reggie. I want to leave you with this. I want to ask you to send me a question over on Instagram. Go over in my DMs and ask me a question, because in the next episode, we are going to start with Ask Me Anything about building your network marketing business. Or maybe you just want to know some cool thing, and I will get the answer for you, because someone once told me I'm the master connector of all people. If I can't find someone, if I can't do it myself, I will find someone who can. So send me an appropriate question. It can be a little inappropriate, but send me a question over in the Instagram DM, and I'm going to start answering a few of those questions right here, because those of you that know me know this. I do not cover things up. I let you know exactly what's going on, and I'm the one that tells you the truth. So send me a message, ask me anything. I'm hoping to launch next week if I get some questions. Thanks so much for being with me today. I've got a free gift for you. It's brand new, hot off the presses, and you can find it at bethholdengraves.com/10 ways. This gift is my little guide that's going to show you how to get people into your inbox asking you, what the heck do you do? Wouldn't that be awesome to get 2 or 3 people a day asking you to share with them what you do? Grab that guide. I know that if you start to put these things into place that I talk about in my guide, that you will make it happen. And as always, join us over in the Camp Elevate group, the campelevategroup.com. This week, we are talking about visibility on social media if you're catching this in real time. If not, we have so much great stuff going on. Catch you all next week. Talk soon. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today on You're Not the Boss of Me. I'm hoping that you found one thing that you will do today that will allow you to move forward to that big, audacious goal. And I have a favor to ask of you, and that is leaving me a 5-star review over in iTunes. Every single week, I read your reviews. I love hearing what you have to say, and it allows me to bring you more, to get more people to interview that are doing the thing, breaking the glass ceilings, creating what they crave, and helping you with your game plan. So leave me a 5-star review, and when you do, I enter you to win the You're Not the Boss of Me swag. So make sure you leave it, and we'll reach out to you if you're the winner. Thanks so much for hanging with me today, and we'll chat with you soon.